how he ended up there. So let me just introduce him right now. Assalamu alaikum, Rafiq. Can you hear me?
Salam, Numayar, how are you?
Not bad, my big one. How you doing? Tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Not too bad. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Thanks for having me, man. It's nice to hear from you. It's been a while.
It's my pleasure,
well,
man.
like you introduced me, I've been based in the US. I've been here. I've traveled from London. Grew up in Hackney, in East London.
Slow down. You're skipping a lot. You're talking about Hackney, so let's talk about Hackney. You grew up in Hackney. Okay, so tell us, how long did you stay there and so on? When you say you grew up, you were there right from the beginning? Were you born in Hackney? This is in London, in case people don't know where Hackney is.
No. Hackney is in East London, near, I suppose, near Stratford. You know where it is.
Where the Olympic took place.
Lovely town. Yeah. It's a lovely town in East London. I grew up over there. I was born there. For the oldies in Hackney, Mother's Hospital, that's no longer there.
Yeah.
So long time ago.
So we moved. The reason I ask this is that means your family is in Hackney, yeah, from Hackney.
Yeah, my family's from Hackney. We settled in Hackney and we moved from there. Well, I got married and then of course we moved on from there. We went to Leighton, lived in Leighton for a while, and then moved to Leicester and enjoyed Leicester for a while, and then, like you said, moved over to Abu Dhabi. Spent some time in Abu Dhabi, and now I'm in the US.
Okay, so I'm going to take you step by step so people get to understand why you made these moves and so on, because the whole point of these shows are to help people make some decision if they want to move from a country to another country, to take away some of the fear factor, or maybe just enjoy the fact that, dreaming about moving to another country is not always anything other than a dream. Because, I myself thought about moving out of the country 10 years ago, like you, from Hackney. Thought, okay, I'm going to go to Qatar, maybe I'll go to Malaysia. I did all the background checks and so on, did all the calculations, and I ended up in Leicester. Now, that's a completely different story. We'll talk about that another day. The reason I keep harping back, you grew up in Hackney. I grew up in Hackney in the 80s and the 90s. It wasn't the nicest of place. We didn't feel it. We grew up in the place. You could say, the people say it's a hood, but we had a quarter mile, murder mile. None of these things affected us while we were growing up there because we were in it. But now you've gone a complete U-turn to a completely different country and so on. Just trying to figure out, did any of your upbringing in Hackney and so on create any kind of desire for you to move, find a better place? What was your reason for moving, for a start, from London to Leicester? Let's hear that.
You raised some really valid points there, Numayar. Yeah. Your environments over time shape your character. And I think Hackney, being the neighborhood you described at that time, of course, shapes your character. And it made me, at least, and I'm sure you'll resonate with this, it makes you streetwise. And for me, being in that environment, not being involved in it as such, but being in that environment, you learn a lot. You grow up around it. You understand people and the dynamics of that sort of culture. Not saying that. Hackney now is a wonderful place. It's evolved. It's grown, as most towns and cities do. But as I was getting older, as my career was developing, as my family was growing, there had always been a desire for me to explore and learn through travel. I've always liked travel. I used to travel for work. So going to different cities and different countries, even when I was living in London, it would always fascinate me because that personal development you get, the growth you get, it enriches your life. It allows you to understand people, understand life a bit more. And then it really comes down to what people want from this travel, from their life. And for me, it was very much around just opening your mind, seeing what's out there. There's bigger things in the world than Hackney. The world is a big place.
Absolutely.
And there's so much you can learn.
But the crazy thing is, people ask, I'm sure they asked you the same question, but you're leaving the capital. Why did you leave London? That's my first question to you. And I'm sure you got that. And the second one is, what did your family think? I seem like your mom, dad, your brothers, sisters, cousins, etc., your friends. What did they say to you? So take us to that, those two things. I mean, how did you answer the question?
I mean, there's many. No, absolutely. There's many factors. Look, at the community feel you get in Leicester is different. London is a very metropolitan city. Leicester is a very close-knit community. Lots of masajid, lots of people around. One of the challenges I had, I'll talk about the challenges. The rationale behind it, there's many factors, but the rationale, one of the challenges moving from a big metropolitan city to a smaller city was essentially adjusting to that culture difference, the change you have from the diversity and the opportunities and the options you have in London at all levels, right? It's completely different to what you get in Leicester. One of the things that when people ask me that I think about is, as a family man, when you have children, you start thinking about what is best for them. And one of the rationales around that is actually, is London a place where I'd like my children to grow up in? And is it affordable? Is it feasible? What are the options available? We found at the time, obviously through family, and we have family in Leicester as well. And we thought, actually, you know what? The quality of life in Leicester is better. You get more for your money. The Muslim community there is very strong. And it was just one of those moves we made. And essentially meeting new people, learning about, of course, the different cultures. It was something that we decided to take a step and just move on. And it happened. And it was a good move, I think. I think we learned a lot. You and I connected when I moved. And you get to learn about people who are there to support you in times of, I mean, it's not easy to pick up and move cities, right? I not only picked up and moved cities from London to Leicester, but you can imagine the challenges of moving from country, from the UK to Abu Dhabi, and then from Abu Dhabi to the US. So there is always understanding that what is it you want as a person for your family, and what we wanted as a family for our children and for ourselves, we initially thought we'd get it in Leicester.
Okay, I'm going to follow that up in a few seconds, but I still want to answer with regard to what was your immediate family's reaction when he said you're leaving your hometown? Who had the strongest Who had the strongest reaction in your family when he said you're taking your wife, your kids?
No, are you talking about my immediate my wife and children, or are you talking about my parents and
your parents and
my
siblings?
Yeah. So of course, man, when you move away, not only for my mother, also for me, I'm very close to my parents. So kind of, I think it was a difficult decision, but at the same time, it wasn't difficult because we're not going that far. It's a 2-hour drive, man. Come on. So it wasn't.
So you use the same excuse as me. It's only 2 hours drive. It's 100 miles.
That's what you do, and it was good. I mean, it was something that, of course, they were involved in. It wasn't something that it came as a surprise. So when you do make decisions like that together collectively and
speak to the family.
It's calculated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't leave them in the dark and so on, like I did. I told them 4 weeks before I packed, I'm going. I love you guys. I will see you more often than I've seen you in London. You know the truth, sorry to sidewind on this one. I actually have seen some of my families and friends more often in Leicester than I used to see them in London. Isn't it strange how, I made time, they made time and so on. Time was one of the most important thing that I found lacking in London. In Leicester, I really did slow down. I know you did because, when you and I spoke about it and so on, why we moved here. It's one of the key things, being able to give a bit more time and so on. So, okay, so let's move on. You then moved on to Abu Dhabi from here. I mean, that took, listen, forget about your mom and dad and so on. That took me by surprise, bro. That hurt me. I thought you came to join me in Leicester. And then how long did you stay in Leicester? 2 years? Rafiq? Can you hear us? Hey, Rafiq. Okay, I think we're having slight audio issues here. Someone may have pulled the mic. Guys out there, how you doing? Yeah, no worries. I'm getting the Allahu Akbar sign there. Don't worry, Rafiq will join us in a few seconds. So, as you know, I'm kind of like asking questions to my friends and family why they moved out of the country, as I did as well. I didn't move out of the country. I moved out of London with the whole family. So 7 of us literally packed our bags and so on and came to Leicester. Leicester was a city that I knew nobody in. I had done a little bit of research into Leicester about 3 years prior to that, and I wasn't that keen on moving to Leicester because maybe I did the research in the wrong area. Even the cousins who were in Leicester, who had okay. I'll tell you my story next time. We'll continue with my story. Rafiq, you back?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Excellent. Nice to hear you again now, my bro. I was saying, you moved to Leicester. I was overjoyed. I had a like-minded person talking, enjoying, going out. My kids had a similar age group friend to hang out with and so on. And then you dropped that bombshell on me. I'm moving to Abu Dhabi. I never told you this. That hurt, bro, man. It's like you came and you left me. You know?
Bro, it hurt me as much as it hurt you. It hurt me more. It was sad to leave you, man. It was amazing to have your company in Leicester. I think, I was saying about meeting people, and you were one of those people that really proved to be a pillar and a support in my time in Leicester.
That's really I went through what. No, that's really you've been through it. You went through what I went through, and I knew that's what we should do. And I always reflect on the fact: what did the Ansars do when the people, our Prophet and the people from Mecca went there? They gave up everything for them, and what little did we do? We didn't do much, And you became an Ansar after a couple of months of being in Leicester as well. You're helping people move to Leicester.
It's a lovely town. It's a lovely town, and the community is very strong. And masjids everywhere, halal food everywhere. It's something that people in Leicester enjoy. That kind of slow lifestyle and close knit families, and the iftars we used to have together. I know other brothers were coming together regularly, even during the weekdays, every evening you're here and there. It's nice.
Do you remember that Ramadan get together?
Man, of course.
Suhoor. So for the listeners out there, we've got like a bunch of friends. We never have a chance to have iftar together, so we decided to have suhoor at different friends' house, different nights. We used to eat till the last minute. I remember one of my friends looking at his chicken and the watch at the same time, saying, "How many seconds have I got left to finish this chicken's wing?" Oh my gosh, it's always to do. But now, going back, so you moved to Abu Dhabi. What was the reason for it, and how was that?
Well, it was one of the best moves I've made. And I say to people, if you get an opportunity, I tell my children, my boy, I say to him, well, I did it for work, and I think. It was an amazing experience. I was there for 5 years approx, and I tell my kids that if you get an opportunity to go abroad and live, it's different to when you move or go when you go somewhere for a vacation. It's a different experience. Absolutely. You go for a vacation, your mindset is different, but when you go there to live, you really start to get involved with the different types of people and cultures and environments that you can learn from. And Abu Dhabi the quality of life in Abu Dhabi was phenomenal. It was, but again, something I'd say is, it depends on what you go out there to look for. I remember one of the first things when I went there, one brother said to me that, "Why are you here, Rafiq? Why did you move to Abu Dhabi? Did you come here for deen? Do you think you're going to come here and become a chef and learn Arabic and go back with some stories?" And I looked at him. Actually, to be honest, no. I just
want my BJJ black belt. Sorry, that's a different story. We'll talk about that later.
I said, no, I'm here. I came through work. I got an opportunity there. So it was a good opportunity. The quality of life there is phenomenal. The family enjoyed it. There's a really nice expat community over there. And it comes back again. I mentioned before, the environment shapes you, and you get to know who your true friends are and who are the ones out there just time passing, and you see the different spectrums of why people are in places like that. And we all hear the stories in the UK or even over here about tax-free living and everything like that. It's not cheap to live out in Abu Dhabi, so your package has to be good. But besides that, when I say lifestyle, don't get me wrong, I don't mean the extravagance and the bling bling and what you hear in from brothers coming back. Oh yeah, I had a Ferrari and I was driving it. No, I'm not talking about all of that. I'm actually talking about there's the regardless of the stereotype image you may have of the Middle East. As a Muslim, to go in a country where you can pray anywhere, you hear the adhan loud 5 times. Everything is halal. You have brothers there, and you don't have to make an effort to be able to practice your deen, right? There is obviously other challenges you have, but predominantly just being in that environment and continuously being reminded. In Ramadan I remember in Ramadan we would go into the supermarket, and in the background they'd have Quran playing.
Yeah.
And while you're shopping, you listen to the Quran. Things like that, they may be small, but they have a lasting impact. And we kind of underestimate the smaller things that have these big impacts. And also the fact that the quality of living is amazing. You have beautiful beaches everywhere. You have the standard of apartments and Friday. Well, now it's changed, but I don't know, when I was there, we had Fridays off for Jummah. So with family and the family time, if you talk about Numayar, we're in Leicester and we had more family time together. In Abu Dhabi, there's so much emphasis on family life. All the parks in Abu Dhabi have facilities for families, and the weather is very nice. And now it's up and coming. There's more parks, and since I left, they're opening up even more parks. And it gives more family time even for the locals in Abu Dhabi. It's different to Dubai.
I believe, they're moving more forward with regard to that kind of more open space and family. They always used to do that, near the seafront, etc. But what about schooling and so on for your children when you went there? I mean, people that are listening to the show, obviously they'll have families, they have children and so on. As we always say, look, a couple that wants to move there for maybe 6 months because of work or a year and so on, it's relatively easy. But when you move there with the whole family, like you and me, we've got a bunch of kids. You can have a whole football team together. So, how is that? I mean, how did you find schooling and so on for them?
So what? I mean, I get asked this question a lot. That I have found a potential opportunity in Abu Dhabi. Would it be a good move? Okay. Now, the amount of times I've actually sat down and kind of derived. Because I didn't have anyone to do that when I left, to be fair, to ask. I mean, I did my research. I had a few ideas here and there, but there was no one to break it down in the level of detail that I would have needed. I was very fortunate that, alhamdulillah, I got a good package to allow me to take my family and fulfill these requirements you would have to live in Abu Dhabi comfortably. So my point here is, when brothers are asking me, should I go to Abu Dhabi? My first response would be, work out your cost benefit. Do your research on how much will it cost for you to rent an apartment? How much will it cost for you to afford a car over there? How much will it cost for your day-to-day expenses? There are hidden expenses there as well that nobody tells you about, right? And these have been obviously changing over the years. So there needs to be a breakdown of your cost benefit. So it makes it feasible for you to enjoy that quality of life. Some companies provide you with, and you need to make sure that they provide you with the right level of allowance for you to pay for the rent and accommodation over there. Same with the car. You need to make sure that your company that you are exploring opportunities with, you can negotiate an amount for you to either purchase or lease a car over there.
But just to stop you there and highlight the fact, not every job comes with a car and apartment. So I don't want anyone to get the false perception that, yes, anything and everything in Abu Dhabi, the Middle East, comes with a car and a house. Exactly. Some of them don't, but you can negotiate your pay package so that you yourself can pay for it. I've got other friends who went in there, they gave them a 3-month allowance for apartment. After that, they had to find their own apartments and so on. So, but you were lucky; you had a full package, so that's different.
Yeah. So That's a fair point. So this is where you need to do that research and analysis of making sure that you can sustain yourself for that period of time you are there, and what overheads you will have, what comes out of your pocket, and what savings you make. Because look, at the end of the day, again, it comes back to what you want to achieve, right? Some people want to go to Abu Dhabi and Dubai and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to live the life, and everything I earn over there, I'm going to spend over there and live as nice as I need to, and come back with nothing. Some people want to live modestly and come back with savings where they can invest. Some people want to say, okay, you know what, I'll save everything and live very modestly and then come back and invest even more. What is it you want to achieve? And everything has to be oriented about your goals and what you define as success. So for me, it was very much about telling brothers that, look, do your cost-benefit analysis, work out what is it, what is the package you're getting, what you can negotiate, and there's other factors around that too about, flights and you mentioned schooling. To answer your question about schooling, there are English curriculum schools in Abu Dhabi, and you research which ones are preferable for you. When I was going there, I did my research before I went and contacted these schools to understand what is the enrollment process. And again, I did mention before with the costing, will your company pay for the fees? Education in Abu Dhabi is expensive, okay? So how many children will your employer pay for?
Oh, okay, so there's a cutoff point, right? You can't go there with 12 kids.
Yes.
That rules me out.
I don't have 12 kids, man. Yeah, you can't go there with a football team. But there is a cutoff. Now they made it even harder, to be fair. I've heard that there was a threshold. Some companies offer 2, some companies offer 4, some don't offer any. Okay. So you may have to pay out of your pocket. So again, you need to go and do your research.
Okay, but what about the kids? Did they settle down to school? And a lot of us have this conception that in the Middle East, because of the heat and so on, you literally come out of your house into an air-conditioned car, you go to school or you go to the office, you come back, you're back in your house. The only time you can go out is in the middle of the night. By that time, the kids have to sleep and so on. So what was their life like? What was the life balance like with education?
It was lovely. Absolutely lovely. I mean, look, I can only talk about myself. There were times where the weather is amazing. You're right. It does get very hot in the summer. It gets very hot in the summer. So you can't go out and stand in the sun, of course. But I like the sun. Generally, I like that temperature. I like the warm climate. The kids enjoyed it because there's a lot of outdoor activities and stuff you can do in Abu Dhabi. But at the same time, there are facilities because of the temperature that you do indoors. And depending on the season you're there, you can adjust. And the routine, examples I can give you is I would finish work sometimes and my kids would finish school. So my wife would pick them up and I would meet them after school at the beach.
Wow.
And we would just spend an hour.
Not the park, not the local Spinney Hill Park. It's at the beach.
I'm telling you, Hackney Marshes or you go to Milton Park.
Hey, don't talk about Hackney Marsh, man. I did my 5-kilometer run there. It was a fantastic place.
It was lovely.
Did you know David Beckham did a Nike advert or something in Hackney Marsh?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry, I was there. Carry on. So no, look. So you'd come home, you'd go to the beach and so on. That would be pretty normal. Food-wise, did you eat out more while you're in Abu Dhabi, or did you eat at home more? What would you say your balance was, 50-50 or one or the other?
Oh, that's a good question, man. It's all about the food. You know that, man. It's all about the food. We would eat out a lot. We explored. I love exploring different cuisines. So we would explore different restaurants and different. And you know what, the local cuisine. There's a lot of people from South India, in Abu Dhabi as well, where they would have restaurants where they would serve the local food, and man, it would be lovely even to try that. It'd be very good. We always think about the high end, but if you even go to the local foods, local being the South Indian food, not the Arabic local Emirati food, but it is good. We tried everything, man. It was a lot of options available to you. Everything is halal. So
that's it. You had the option. Everything is halal.
What you can't eat here, you know, we have, or what you can't eat here, you have over there. But of course, within reason, you know, the kids have to still be disciplined.
Right. What was your favorite food? Because before I move on to the US, I want to hear just a little bit more about Abu Dhabi. What was your favorite food there? This is Ramadan. We're fasting and so on. You may as well talk about it. There's a big elephant in the room, isn't it? Food.
Now you're talking. Yeah, the Ramadan is it the month of the Quran or is it the month of food?
No, it's definitely the month of the Quran, man. I'm not even going to pretend it's not. You know, it's the month of the Quran. We need to make more effort, but it's also otherwise known as the month of feasting.
My favorite food. I you know what I like meat. I like steaks. I like you know, we went. I remember it's still memorable to me. In Leicester. Actually, I don't know if there is a Brazilian steakhouse in Leicester.
No, there isn't. No, it's in London. Let's not get that mixed up. Yeah.
There you go. So we won't go there. Shall we go there? I don't know. There's a Brazilian steakhouse in Abu Dhabi, a really famous one, in Yasmol. I remember taking. We had visitors. We had a lot of family over, and we just took him to that steakhouse where. You know when they come to your table with the actual skewer,
steaks, and they just carry on. They just carry on putting on your plate.
That's it. They just keep and you don't eat the whole day. And for some people, you don't eat the whole week, and you go there and eat all night. You know, lots of meat, lots of chicken, and they had different kind of wraps. You know, you'd have chicken wrapped in halal bacon and things, halal turkey bacon and things like that. So you kind of enjoy that kind of experience.
So you're a meat man. You enjoyed all the meat, the freedom to eat as many different meat as possible, and so on. I had a great time on the beaches, and even from the conversation you and I had in the past, it's different. You know, the time. Well, it was not the same timing, was it? It's like, you know, at night time, it could, for adults and so on, you could stay awake till 12. But what did you used to do? Hit the bed 12, 1 o'clock, or?
No, we had the normal routine. It's nothing like that. But you know what it is? There's how do I put it? So, for example, in Leicester, I mean, you tell me in Leicester, what's the typical time when coffee shops and restaurants typically close now? I
5 p.m. 5 p.m. in the afternoon. No, I'm joking. they're getting later and later, unfortunately. It's 11, you know, 10, 11 o'clock. Yeah. That's what I like about Leicester. People kind of like shut down 11 o'clock and so on. Yes, the youngsters and some of the people who still remain young at heart, they decide to stay out late. But 9, 10, 11 is a nice time to knock off, be with the family at home and so on. I know. So let me ask this question: is Abu Dhabi as lively as Dubai, or would you say Abu Dhabi is a bit more conservative?
No, it's a lot less busy. It's very, very comfortable for family. I couldn't really. I mean, to be fair, wherever you go, and this is one of the experiences I've gained over travel. Wherever you go, you will find what you look for, right? But the options available to do certain things in Dubai are more easily accessible than in Abu Dhabi. So for me, it was very much around you get exposed to certain things that you shouldn't do in Dubai, whereas in Abu Dhabi, it is a very, very family-oriented environment. And even in the evening, you will find locals, when I say locals, the Emirati families, they'd be out with their children and their wife and in restaurants and cafes, and you feel comfortable taking your family to places where normally in cities you wouldn't. So this is something that I found enlightening, and then it was a good quality of life in that sense as well, that wherever you go, emphasis is always about security and safety, and families are free to go where they need to. Women could go to restaurants with their friends by themselves in the evening, and that's not typical or normal in London. I wouldn't feel comfortable, having my wife or my daughters going to gatherings or out to eat or something like that, if it's late at night in places like London or even in Leicester for that matter. So this is something that I kind of found very beneficial in Abu Dhabi, that we got the benefit we got the opportunity to benefit from something like that.
Okay. All right. So let's rewind a little bit. Ramadan Radio FM's listening to Numayar and to Rafiq. Rafiq, my friend, has moved from London to Leicester, Leicester to Abu Dhabi, Abu Dhabi to US. So currently we've covered London to Leicester, Leicester to Abu Dhabi. I want to ask this question. Having experienced these two moves, if somebody came to you today and said, I'm thinking of moving out of London, would you still advocate Leicester? Let's just say they just said all they want to do is move out of London, not out of the country. And I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Give me the main reason you say, yes, move to Leicester, or no, don't move to Leicester.
No, I wouldn't say either. I'd ask them what they're looking to achieve, because Leicester may not offer what everybody's looking to gain. And I would try to find out, because let's not forget there are other cities also in London that are outside of London.
Yeah, no, I fully hear that. I respect that, because, like Birmingham, Manchester, you can go anywhere. But if someone said to you, because you've got experience of Leicester, would you personally still advise Leicester? They said, yes, I'm looking at Leicester.
Yeah, I would. I think it has a lot to offer.
So Leicester made a mark on your heart then, yeah, in a good way.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think the community there is phenomenal.
Okay. Good to hear that.
Looking to move outside of London to go to Leicester, I think there's people like, you have Numayar, that's an amazing brother.
Dr. Hilal's listening out there, I think, as well. Don't forget. And all the other boys.
You got Mr. Doctor and, the other brothers, all of them, but you guys know who you are. It's an amazing thing.
Okay, so then you moved on to Abu Dhabi. So someone comes up to you now and says, I've done my research on Abu Dhabi and so on. Would you recommend Abu Dhabi, or would you recommend Leicester?
No. Oh, come on. Abu Dhabi, hands down. Abu Dhabi. If you get an opportunity, hands down, bro. However amazing Leicester is, Abu Dhabi is left also another, in a different way, a mark in my life.
More bright sunlight, the beach, and the food, 24/7 halal food. Yes, I understand. Yes, just like Leicester. Yeah, just like Leicester.
Just like that.
No, that's fair enough. Okay, so in that case, let me ask about one of the last, hopefully the last movement that you've done. Unless you plan to come back to Leicester and join me, which would be my ultimate thing. You've left the US to come and join us in Leicester. So you moved from Abu Dhabi to US. What was your reason behind it, and how have you found it?
So we moved from Abu Dhabi to US because when it came to a point where we were deciding to come back, we were going to come back to London or Leicester. We were thinking, actually, you know what? There was an opportunity to come to the US, and we just weighed out our options, and the US just seemed to be a bit more of another exciting adventure, to be fair.
Whereabouts in the US?
At the moment, I'm in Texas, and I say at the moment, alhamdulillah, I think I'm settling down here now. I'm in Texas, Houston.
Okay. And how are you finding that? And how, again, my question would be, how do the kids find it? Is, as adults, we can make decisions about our life, about our family, and so on, and we can bite the bullet, we can move on, do things. Look, our parents did that. They left comfort of their family life and so on. They came to this country, whether they came from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Kenya, etc. They came over here and they settled down. And as adults, yes, we can do that. But what was the impact of your kids on your kids, especially my little man, Sufyan, and so on, your son? How did he take it when he first heard that he just settled down in Abu Dhabi and now you guys are moving? You were in Abu Dhabi for 5 years, right? 4 or 5?
5 years. And
5 years.
I'd say it's character. But the thing is, I would advise. So my son became at a particular age. Now he's going to university, right? So you have to come to a point where there's certain goals you can't reach in Abu Dhabi, where families do that. When your kids are, and you will find in Abu Dhabi, most of the people, they are a young family. So I would advise, that is one of the recommendations, that if you have the desire to travel or to work abroad, then while you have a young family, then it's the best time to do it. As the kids get older, the demands increase, and for us, we came to a point where we have to find ways to settle for the children, especially my boy. So we had the option to go to London or US, and we had family here as well, and we took the option over here. Children are very resilient, and they adapt to change very well. Initially, there will always be that element of transition where you're adjusting and you're getting comfortable, and there will be some ups and downs. But once you become familiar with where you are, then alhamdulillah, it's a beautiful place. And then Houston is like a larger version of...
Don't say Leicester.
Leicester, I'm telling you, it's huge.
Dude, you seem to be looking for a bigger and a different version of Leicester everywhere you go.
I mean, Abu Dhabi is a different ball game. Nothing like Leicester, but Houston, we were actually, interesting you say that. We were going to go to New York.
Yeah.
And we decided to shift from New York because of obviously the children and the lifestyle there. We decided to move to Houston. It's a faster pace than Leicester, but it is also very family orientated. But I look at Houston right now, and I say this pretty much to all brothers who ask me this question. I say, Houston right now, we have so much going on here from a dini perspective.
Yeah.
And there's masjids everywhere. There's around my house, and by the way, it's not, we don't walk anywhere here. That's another cultural change that we need to get used to. That. Yeah. Here you drive everywhere. Roads are huge, and everything is driving distance. But what driving distance? Masjids are like 5-minute drive, 10-minute drive from my house. We've got 4 or 5 masjids around me, and the community here is growing. And I always say that it seems to me the way that the Muslims are establishing themselves in Houston right now is where London was, not Leicester. London was maybe 10 years ago. So it's very quickly developing. Yeah, very quickly developing. There's a lot of shuyukh here.
But that's a positive, though, isn't it? This is a positive where you can be part of the fabric of this society, and your kids can see that they can develop as well in a much better way. And you've taken the learning that you've had from London, Leicester, and so on. Oh, that's good.
And for them, it's character building. Again, I'll come back to that same point. It's for me, I always try and put that perception and mindset to my children that it's character building. You know, you learn so much through travel. It's very encouraged even in our deen, and then I think we've come to a point where you do then start becoming part of this. You're right, fabric of society. You attach yourself to the masjid. You meet with the community, and you grow as youth. And that's what we want for our children. We want them to be connected to the masjid. We want them to be part of the community. So
what is the community like in Texas, in Houston? Is it more integrated, or is it still, the good thing you said, it's like 10 years ago in London. 10 years ago in London, I still find London to be very, very mixed. Any masjid you go to is very mixed. I mean, only a few masjid are still old school, where they have like one part of whether it's Bangladeshi masjid, or Pakistani masjid, Indian masjid. But nowadays, pretty much all the masjids in London are pretty mixed. Is that how it's like in Houston as well?
You will always find, Numayar, wherever you go, you will always find these pockets of masjid, like you say, that some will be predominantly Desi, some will be predominantly Arab, some will be Somalian. No. I respect that. It helps the community fair enough. But what I'm saying, for you and me, who are far more, how should I put it? We're not exactly introverts. We can mix anywhere with everybody, and that's what I look for my children. That I want them to grow up in an Islamic society that is mixed of all different backgrounds. Is that what you're finding, or? Yeah, Houston is very multicultural. Yeah. So you've got people here from all over. Right now, there's in one masjid that we go to regularly, for example, it's obviously predominantly Arab, but there's a huge Desi community there. And you've got people from Africa, you've got people from back home in India, Pakistan. And interestingly enough, Ramadan happens, and then there's and I didn't know this until this year, that there's a huge Bangladeshi community
Bro, man, we're everywhere.
So you're right, and that's what I say, that this community is growing, right? People are coming and people are establishing themselves, and even the masses here are growing, and they're offering a lot more, and it's really nice to see it grow, and like you say, become a part of that growth. So it's nice to see that. Whereas, but then look, however much I talk about Houston, Abu Dhabi, Leicester, to be fair, whenever I come back, I grew up in London, man. London has its charm. And,
of course.
It's offering,
you grew up here, you understand the roads and so on.
Yeah.
Which way to look, etc. I used to get confused when I go to other countries. I'm looking in the wrong direction when I'm crossing roads. This man traveled the whole world, got struck by a car. But you know what? I asked myself, why am I doing this kind of shows this year? It's because if it helps one other person to make a positive change in his life and so on, because I've seen too many people, too many families in London struggling to pay rent in a small one-bedroom house and things like that with their kids gone off the rail and so on, but they don't think about moving because they don't have the bravery, or they don't know anybody. So if someone listening out there from your journeys and your adventures and so on, hopefully from my other guests and so on that will come on next week, and they take heed and say, you know what, I can do this. My forefathers did it, I can do this. I can move forward to a better place for my children and for the next generation. And on top of that, I mean, the most important thing I see is to be a better Muslim wherever we go, represent Islam in the best way. And I think you've done a fabulous job, my friend. You know, while you were in Leicester, I've known you in London a little bit, but in Leicester, I've known you for longer. Amazing. You know, you set up what you found lacking, a jiu-jitsu place. You got us involved. My arm still hurts, but I won't go into that one. But, you know, you kept up your sports, you kept up your education, you kept up your kids' hifz. You know, you did everything, and you're still doing it. So respect to you for that. So that's one of the many reasons that I love you for the sake of Allah, and why I invited you on the show, because I want to show to people that we are normal human beings. We have good and bad side to us and so on. But, you know, if we need to do a big move, all through this, I've been asking, how have your children taken it? It's because I know that's the hardest bit. And as you said, it's a character building. You know, if you explain to the children properly and so on, they'll understand why you're doing it. At the end of it, when they grow up, they'll understand it even better. They've not lost their friend. I mean, your boys have not lost his friends in London. They've still got my son. They've got other friends and so on. They still communicate. I'm sure they've got friends from Abu Dhabi they communicate with and so on. My son now has a place to go to in Texas. He has a place to go to in other countries that he's got friends in, like in Turkey and so on. So, you know what? I love and respect that you've taken that big leap and you've done this. Just on the closing comment, you think I would ask you a very deep question and so on, but I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Are you coming back?
My heart is always there with you, Numayar. Inshallah. Inshallah, pray dua. But
I make that wherever you are, you've laid your hat and so on, you be a pillar of this community and you reflect Islam in the best way, and your children and our children do this kind of thing. And may Allah accept whatever little thing we do with those kind of good intentions and so on, and make our life easy in the countries that you are in and I'm in and so on, because, you know, we have a lot of luxury and comfort and so on, and there are people in a lot more hardship. So, you know, it's easy for us to get up and go sometime. But yeah, what's your last thoughts?
Yeah. No, it's beautiful what you're doing, Numayar, to offer this to the community. This is what we need, and I think we have to remember that it's the month of Ramadan. We are all here for each other. Lots of dua, lots of dhikr, and just want to thank you and all the brothers in Leicester for supporting me while I was there. If there's any benefit I've brought from coming on this show, remember me in your duas. And again, Numayar, thank you so much.
I mean, no, that's it. You actually summed it up beautifully, man. I'm sure you're some nighttime radio presenter or something. Okay, listen, my bro. I look forward to you visiting the UK, and inshallah I'll visit you in 2023/2024. You look after yourself.